California Governor Gavin Newsom unveiling his latest budget on Friday, which is zeroing in on the crime surge here in California. The governor expressing particular concern over the rise in organized retail theft. Speaking with Attorney General Rob Bonta and other officials in the Bay Area, Newsom said the package would include more than $250 million in competitive grants for law enforcement agencies and even a smash and grab enforcement unit and support for small businesses impacted by theft. The new budget package will be presented to the California State Legislature in Sacramento in January. Here to tell us more about Governor Gavin Newsom's new public safety plan and get her thoughts on the matter is State Senator Sen Melendez. Hi, Senator. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you bet. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
So what do you think about the new plan, what he's trying to do to curb crime across the state lately?
Well, I think it's a little too late, frankly, for that. I mean, you have to remember this is a governor who fully supported Prop 47, supported the early release of thousands of inmates, supports closing prisons. And I'm not sure how putting millions of dollars into grants for law enforcement is going to solve the problem, because if you have district attorneys who are unwilling to prosecute these crimes, then what good does it do? I mean, it's law enforcement chasing their tails. They go arrest someone, and then the person, doesn't get tried in a court of law. So I think it's a lot of show. It's all bark and no bite, if you ask me.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about Prop 47, and I know AB 109 has been looked at recently, saying, these criminals feel like they can do whatever they want, and they're either not going to get caught, or if they get caught, they're not really going to be prosecuted. It almost makes sense to go and do these crimes.
Well, sure it does. And they figured that out. And that's why you see this increase in these smash and grab type of robberies. I mean, for the district attorney, the state attorney general to say that, oh, that's not the case is simply false. He should talk to the people on the ground who are having their stores broken into, because we see it everywhere. It's not just in LA. It's not just in San Francisco. And there are no consequences. I mean, I'm sorry, there just aren't any. So again, to say you're going to give millions of dollars in grants to law enforcement to go after organized, retail crime thefts, well, that's great. But are they going to be prosecuted? Probably not, because people like Gavin Newsom have made sure that some of these district attorneys have been elected so that they have the people in place who don't prosecute the crime. So it's, you stand out there and beat your chest and say, look what I'm doing. I'm giving more money to law enforcement to combat these types of crimes. Meanwhile, you're not talking about the fact that, oh, they're really not going to get prosecuted anyway, because these district attorneys that we put in office don't believe in that type of justice.
These smash and grab crimes certainly very bad, and I would be terrified if I were in a Nordstrom or somewhere else and a group of people came in and started smashing things and grabbing things. But we've been following these follow home robberies, which is also terrifying. There was one in the Los Angeles area. A woman and her baby in a stroller opens up the gate and she goes inside, and two guys get out of a car and follow her in, and they grab her purse and something else, and she's okay. But then you hear about other instances where maybe somebody sees somebody in a fancy car and they follow them home, or they've got one of those Louis Vuitton bags or a nice looking watch, and all of a sudden they just follow you home and they rob you there at your house.
Yeah, it's terrifying, especially, this time of year when people are out Christmas shopping. But imagine the single mom who's out there just trying to do shopping for her family, how terrifying it must be to know you're alone. And if someone looks at you and thinks, well, she seems like she has a lot of money, and they go after him, and, maybe she doesn't. It doesn't matter if she does or not. The point is that these are the types of crimes that we're seeing, and it is frightening. And I will tell you, we don't have a bill number yet, but we do have a bill that we will be introducing in January. Myself, I'm a co-author on the bill with my colleague, Assemblyman Kevin Kiley, where it's a full repeal of Prop 47. I mean, it would have to go on the ballot, obviously. But this is enough. We can't just throw good money after bad by saying we'll give grants to law enforcement if, in fact, DAs aren't even going to prosecute it because they don't think it's a crime in the first place. And I think the business community and, frankly, consumers, they're fed up. I mean, this isn't even a partisan issue anymore. People are tired of being scared to go out and shop. They're being tired of seeing their businesses robbed. And, when does it end? I mean, it doesn't seem to be that there's an end in sight unless we have a full repeal or we get some different district attorneys, frankly, in office.
One of the other terrifying issues we cover a lot here is the fentanyl deaths, where a lot of young people, they think they're taking a prescription drug, maybe from a friend. It ends up being fentanyl, and they die. And I know you've got AB 350 concerning this. Briefly tell me a little bit about that and why you're passionate about that.
Yeah, SB 350 was a bill we tried to get passed this year. It did not pass. We are going to try again because we have seen such an increase in these deaths. And I think more and more people are aware of it now. But SB 350 essentially does this. If you get caught dealing fentanyl, you go before the judge, he reads you an admonition and says this is dangerous behavior. If you do it again and someone dies, you could be charged with murder. That's all the bill does. They don't get nailed on the first time they're in front of the judge. They will get it on the second time. Doesn't mean the DA has to prosecute it as a murder. It means they have the opportunity to do that, because while I understand that that's not the answer to the epidemic, we can't continue to sit back and throw our hands in the air and say, well, there's nothing that we could do, because there are things that we could do. And parents are losing their children over this, over one pill. I mean, one pill. I've talked to parents, their 13-year-old child is now gone because he took one pill that he thought was one thing and it ended up being something else. And it's not an overdose. It's not as though someone's taking, a pill where they're supposed to take one and they decide to take five. This is not an overdose. This is a poisoning of a drug that these people had no idea was even in the pill that they were taking.
Yeah, it's so scary. State Senator Melissa Melendez, love the tree behind you. Wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much. You too. Merry Christmas.